On today's video, Kingdom 298 found themselves between a hard place and a rock. The weakest kingdom in Lost Kingdom 135 put up a wall trying to protect a level 5 pass for themselves. Boy oh boy, this strategy was a little bit weird, but it seemed to have worked for a little bit. This is still day 1 of Lost Kingdom 135 and we're about to go watch 278 try to break down the wall and lock in Kingdom 298. So if you guys like this kind of war, Lost Kingdom 135's madness, sit back, enjoy the video, and let's go. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. Today we're gonna take a look at the left side of the map in Kingdom 135. This is Lost Kingdom 135. What you're looking at is Kingdom 278 going up against 298, who put up a wall of fortresses while didn't really go down to the bottom too much. Let's explain the situation first and foremost. This left side is an unfortunate situation of Lost Kingdom 135. The reason for that being Kingdom 278 up on the top left, in the center 298, at the bottom you have 283. And the thing is, 298 has about 4 alliances available with power to fight and about 15 billion worth of power, while the folks of 278 sit with a comfortable 5 alliances and almost 30 billion power worth of fighting, and at the bottom 8 alliances and 34 billion power worth of fighting. And so 298, the weakest kingdom in this Lost Kingdom, found themselves between a hard place and a rock, quite literally, as what they tried to do right here is to lock up that level 5 pass with fortresses and flags to just try to hold on for dear life and maybe make it to the next zone. 283, drawing the shorter stick in this situation, are finding very little to no action whatsoever, and so they locked up that top area. To their right in the center, there is bottom center, there's Kingdom 279, which we will be covering in the next video. They have their own fight going on, but they're allied with 283. So really, it's a 278 against 298, and 298 are really behind in this point. 278 is the home of TX46 and the biggest player in the game right now, Character T, who we will be seeing right there, and he is going to be leading a few rallies onto this flag. Now, the name of the game for 298 is we're going to try to hold on for dear life, knowing that the most likely outcome is this is not going to last for too long. The thing that is important to notice is that when you have a blockade of flags, and you know that you have the upper hand in power, and on top of that you're aware of the fact that Lost Kingdom is a long event where the difference between level 4s and level 5 passes is a good couple of weeks, you really don't have to get the job done on day 1, which means you don't have to sacrifice everything and put everything on the line on the first day, on the first few hours. And so the folks of TX46 as well as S1, where Character T went to lead rallies, were taking their time. They were double rallying this flag, and they kept canceling their rallies consistently as they dropped below 50% on that rally health to not lose that many troops. That is by far the most recommended strategy when it comes to, well, tactic when it comes to rallying. The reason for that, you don't want to go below the half point mark on your rally, because at that point you're losing more troops than you're really doing damage. When you have that many alliances, that many people available, even if, you know, people are asleep and you don't have that big of a presence, you don't have to over commit. You can see in a moment that this flag took quite a significant amount of rallies until its first burn. And the reason for that was the folks of 298 were giving it all they had to hold on to this flag. You can see costs D, these folks right here all over this flag. And throughout the video, you're even going to see some of these folks on the screen changing it up, teleporting out and new ones coming in. As the forces of each one of these cities start getting depleted, it's time to swap up with someone who is a bit more capable of holding, as troops have been depleted for certain individuals. The thing that I really liked that Kingdom 278 did is they took their time. They took their time, they coordinated the double rallies, and they made sure that they're always ahead in terms of the damage that they are doing. You can see one of the rally reports right there telling you the story that they were, from the beginning, one of the 2 rallies doing so much damage. Unbelievable stuff. Now, I'm not really going to show you every single report of every single one of these rallies because, quite frankly, there were more double rallies that I care to really count or that you guys have time to watch. We're speeding up these rallies because I do want to show you a big portion of them while we talk a little bit about the things that were done here, as well as talk about 298's strategy, as well as the unfortunate situation they found themselves in. So, for the record, do not keep an eye too much on the health bars of these buildings. As I've mentioned before, buildings and rallies take in account when it comes to the health bar, the total amount of troops that were in it. So if in that flag, for example, there were right now 10 million troops, then that low bar when it's down to like being yellow could be 2 million full power flag that is completely full, but the health bar will never fill all the way to the end. So as you'll see throughout the video, that health bar goes really farther down, but in reality, that flag was super well protected. Let's talk for a moment about how much can someone take. The bottom line about this game, and in general mobile games that have to do with troops and cities and this kind of game, is that every single target can be destroyed as well as zeroed. We've seen Solomar, if you haven't seen that yet, card up on the top right, the biggest player at the time, getting zeroed, 400 million power player, and there were people in this community going, there is no way to zero that guy. The bottom line is that anyone can be zeroed and any flag can be burned. The real question is how many losses you're willing to take and how much are you willing to spend. Why? Because the bottom line is the more troops you have, the more likely you are to succeed. And the best way to get it done is by losing as many troops as it takes. In Kingdom 1093, shout out to the folks of 1093, showed it really well. And as well as the folks of, at the time, Kingdom 16, Dragothian and company, who also sent rallies out on Solomar. It's a matter of how much you're willing to lose. Kingdom 298 were willing to lose quite a bit because they were holding on to that flag for so long. And it took marches after marches after marches after marches. Now, character T at some point got in touch with me and he told me, a couple of things, showed me a bunch of reports. We're going to show you a few of his reports. But one of the things that I noticed is that he's using tier 4s and not tier 5s. And his quite literal explanation to that is they cost very little to heal, and for me, it means infinite power. I really love that statement because the cost of training as well as healing tier 5s is really big compared to tier 4s. And truthfully, in a game where you have to have the more troops, you have to be able to put out more and more troops, going for the tier 5s and doing big damage early on is just as good as a strategy, as a more drawn out fight in which you are spending less per time you heal, but you're having to attack more. I really dig that strategy. I really like the fact that we caught on the fact that he was using tier 4s. And it's not that he doesn't have tier 5s out the wazoo, but a player who wants to be a bit more savvy and a bit more strategic about the way he goes about things knows that Kingdom 298 couldn't really sustain that many tier 5 attacks. And it might have not been even worth it for him to put up the tier 5s in this situation when he knew that 298 were the weaker kingdom, or the guys who had more to hold on to, they had more to lose versus him. These double rallies are going to keep coming. And even after the flag burned for the first time, it got put out and more double rallies came on. And this thing went on for hours. How do you defend against a double rally? It's quite simple. You just keep sending troops into the flag and hope and pray. That's all you can do. Of course, there are a few other things you can do to try to protect that flag by counter-rallying the rallies that are hitting you. There are 2 rallies right now hitting the flag and no counter-rally appearing just yet, but the folks of Kingdom 298 did counter-rally a couple of these rallies. The problem is you're double losing troops essentially. 1, when it comes to the flag, and 2, when it comes to the counter rally itself. Now, obviously, the counter rally is a little bit more gracious in the sense that since it's an open field combat, no deaths will occur versus the flag, which causes deaths as well as severely wounded. On open field combat, you'll get primarily severely wounded. The problem here being, if you fill your hospital while counter-rallying, you'll find a very nasty report on that flag. So the people counter-rallying a flag need to keep an eye on their hospitals as well as on their troops to make sure that, you don't fill up your hospital and all of a sudden every single hit on the flag is thousands of losses. So this is one of the big reports that you'll see in here. Massive, massive losses consistently to the folks of KOSD. And 298 were really, really taking a beating here, even though they did have some tier 5s on deck and they did have a really solid defense. It's so hard to go up against a double rally. And truthfully, I don't think anyone's held as many double rallies as these guys have in a while. I believe that the first burn happened something like 10 or 12 double rallies in. Character T kept consistently canceling his rally, as well as the folks from TX46. I don't remember the player who was rallying for TX46. I apologize for that. You've seen his name on the screen already a couple times. But the bottom line is these 2 guys were not looking to lose that many troops at the half point mark. They'd stop their rallies, restart, and just stay as efficient as they can be. You can see right there, his name is Raindrops. That's right, and that was actually a massive rally by him. It never stopped. These double rallies kept going on for hours. What do you do as Kingdom 298 though? Kingdom 298 really have very little they can do. With 15 billion power going up against 29 billion power worth of fighting alliances, there is very little an alliance or a kingdom can do. I really dig the strategy they went with. Try to lock up that area, that small narrow passage to that level 5 pass with fortresses. The reason that is so cool is fortresses, as you may or may not know, have a total of 150,000 health, and that thing takes quite a while to burn and go away. So by putting up that wall of fortresses, they gave themselves a couple of days worth of grace time in which they could potentially try to get something done, defend those fortresses, or even at the point where the fortresses burn, try to catch the guys of 278 off guard and get those put out, keep going with the healing, and hold on to their territory. You can see that as this flag was being rallied, if you take a look at the left, there is a flag being built right next to it, and these guys kept doing that a lot. They kept using their flags as buffers to create a "you shall not pass" wall, where, of course, the folks of 78 most likely will get through. This is not like a Lord of the Rings type of situation where Gandalf can take freaking the beast down with him. But still, the attempt on holding onto that area was really cool, and it's more than that. It says a lot about the strategic savviness of 298. They've recognized the situation they were in. They've recognized where their best place is to place those fortresses to potentially put themselves in zone 6. They did not push out too far. They did not overextend, but they extended just enough so that their fortresses were in a good place. They created a decent buffer of flags, and they overall just kept dragging 278 into having to wait more and more. Why wait? Flags take a little while to burn. Fortresses take a long while to burn. And the problem is you can put those out at any point with the exception of a little bit of cooldown timers there are in between. As soon as you burn a flag and you put it out, there's like a 5-minute delay, I believe, and a 30-minute delay on the fortress. I'm not entirely sure about the fortress though. Don't quote me on that one. But because there is that small delay, that's the only time you can really guarantee something will keep burning. And once that delay is over, the building can be put out at any point. So if you're not keeping your eyes on the ball and making sure the building keeps burning, there is a possibility to refill that building, put it out, and let it start healing. If you manage to hold on to it for a couple of hours, it can heal enough for a whole half day to have to go through before you can once again hit that building. Now, the problem that the guys of 298 found themselves in was that TX46 dropped a really forward-facing fort right there, as you saw, for the double rally. But this flag was the only thing holding that fortress from building flags towards the inner area, and then the double rallies could happen pretty much to every single one of the fortresses that are down below. So this flag hold wasn't only a hold for survival, it was a hold for a double rally stop. If they manage to hold on to this flag, it'll essentially wipe out the possibility for 278 to double rally. This is why this flag was focused the most. It's not that there wasn't access to the rest of the fortresses and flags. You can see that the flag that's being built is made to create a buffer, but that wasn't there before. If 278 wanted to get there, they could have put another flag and gotten to the next flag of 298. But they didn't really want that. They wanted to get rid of this one so that TX46's fortress, that was the closer one to the wall of that zone 5 area, could keep building flags and the double rally could keep going on every one of these fortresses. Was the double rally a must? It was not. It was definitely not. But again, in a kingdom where you're trying to be as efficient as you can, it is very much worth it to put the investment onto getting rid of one of these flags and ensuring a double rally is available at any time. And that way, you can save yourself a lot of a headache. Again, the problem here was the folks of 278 found themselves more often than not a little bit short-handed, which is why reinforcements to these rallies sometimes didn't come, because there were just not enough people that were available to rally. And so that was another reason why these double rallies got canceled consistently rather than reinforced consistently. Having 30 billion power worth of fighting members doesn't mean that they're all awake at the same time or when you're trying to aggress. And so that's another thing to remember. What can be said about the efforts of 298? They pretty much put all their baskets on this one flag. They knew that this one flag was the only thing holding back 278 from having double rallies across the board. The idea was to place flags in a strategic place where they would block certain areas, and when that would happen, those flags would be critical, and this was the most important one. If you take a look, the garrison commanders inside that flag kept changing very consistently, and so did the commanders that the folks of 278 were sending. To an extent, it's super easy to say, let's counter what's in the flag. But what you forget is that once a rally is out, you can either only join if you're not in the rally, or you can do the little trick where you drop the alliance, so you get kicked out of the rally, then you rejoin the alliance and you can rejoin the rally. But that's a lot of a hassle. The flag can very quickly swap troops, can very quickly reinforce with different troops and keep countering the rally. So for the folks of 278, it became a thing of, let's take as much DPS as we can, let's just do as much damage as we can, and let's starve the guys of 298. When you're taking double rallies, you're taking massive losses consistently. And as I mentioned, this flag was being double rallied for hours. Millions of troops died. Millions of troops got burned and severely wounded and destroyed. With that being said, at some point you just run out of juice. if you don't have that someone spending thousands of dollars and those resource reserves and that bank worth of reserves and resources ready to help you out to heal and the speed ups to heal, you're gonna very quickly run out of juice. Now you can see Cost D finally sending here a counter rally on character T's rally, which caused an instant breakup. And here's another pretty big report right there. You can see nothing very serious right here, right? Oh no, that report was really weird. This is what I'm talking about. 2 times the damage done by that rally in terms of deaths, plus a lot of severely wounded along the way. This is the kind of stuff KOSD had to deal with the whole time. Can you imagine losing 750,000 troops every rally? This is the report for the one rally. There's double rallies coming up in here. Can you imagine losing these many troops every single time? Let's pretend 1 million troops go out every double rally, and there were over 12 of those. How much longer can they hold? An interesting situation that happened here is that they realized that the rallies were Alexander infantry rallies. They swapped up to put a YSG and some archers in there to kind of try to counter. But when you try to counter a rally and consistently keep countering rallies, you need to have the troops available. And the folks of KOSD straight up started running dry. Is this the most fun you can have in Lost Kingdom? Probably not for either side. Why? Because 278 knew that this was about as much as they'd get worth of fighting, and 298 knew that this was as much as they could really hold on. And so it wasn't one of these crazy, kind of like what we saw on the top left area where things got really gnarly and people were fighting all over the place and all over the open field and all that good stuff. The guys at 298 knew they had to focus straight on the flag and kind of just fight for their lives. I believe that this is when the flag burned for the first time, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really remember where in here the flag burns for the first time. But you can see massive amount of frowny faces just keep coming in and out. Look at all these marches coming in and out of that flag consistently. How many marches did you think were in that flag? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know how many marches you think were in there, because there are absurd amounts of frowny faces just keep coming out and out and out and out. And there's still people left in there. That tells you how many marches were in there. Just absurd amounts. And in here, as the time slows down, we're not at 200% speed anymore, because I really wanted you to see this. The flag burns for the first time, and guess what? It wasn't over by a mile, because these guys instantly put it out, put the troops back in, and kept holding double rallies for I think another like 6 or 7 double rallies, if not more. I've never seen that many double rallies on a flag. I think that it has to do with not only the fact that 278 didn't necessarily have all the active people in S1 to keep reinforcing the rally, but also the fact that trying to keep things efficiently done meant that consistent rallies were started over and over rather than longer rallies with longer effect. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The bottom line is that the folks of 278 had a very, very tough time going up against this flag. But once it burned once, it ended up burning again. And the result of all this will be seen in a future video. But the bottom line is, the moment this flag goes down, the double rallies on all the fortresses are available. And on top of that, the folks of KOSD are already running low on troops. How much more can Kingdom 298 hold? We're about to find out in a future video. But for now, I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. I apologize if you guys found it a little bit more stale, as we just focused on this flag and talked significantly about what happened on this flag. I think that 298 drew the shorter end of the stick, and it kind of sucks for them to be in this situation. But not everything is perfect. Not every Lost Kingdom is going to have the perfect balance. And sometimes things happen. I hope you guys enjoy the content. If you do, slap a like on the video. Turn on notifications when you subscribe to the channel. hit the subscribe down below. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Discord down below. We're so close to 100 followers on Instagram. It's kind of crazy. Thank you guys very much. And thank you for those of you who come by and tweet at me on Twitter. I'm always active there too. I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Let's see one more double rally start up in here as we wind down this video. And yeah, this can keep going on. This kept going on for so long. The second rally by Character T coming in right there. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. We still got a lot of Lost Kingdom 135 coverage coming. Peace.